Okay, sorry about that, guys. Luigi Raceway is not the first track. They were just doing a test start there so I could sync up the streams. The first track will actually be Choco Mountain. So the main way to go fast in this game, for those who don't know, is doing mini turbos. That is when you toggle your stick back and forth to turn your smoke to orange and then release the drift. It gives you a small speed boost. So in general, you want to be doing as many of those as possible. Also, you see when they use their mushrooms, they will be using them when they're drifting. It is much faster to shroom while you're drifting rather than driving straight. But if you're not shrooming or charging an MT, drifting is slower than driving straight, so anytime you're not setting up an MT or shrooming, you want to be driving as straight as possible. Yes, Bisso did have the first pick. These two players are actually have tied PRs on this track, but Hattok will be taking the first track there by quite a margin. So heading on to Yoshi Valley here, and as you see, Hattok hitting that spiny on lap 1. That is the risk of this track. Those spinies are quite difficult to get through cleanly, especially on lap 3. They tend to be right in the wrong place. Hattok hitting yet another spiny. That is the thing, when you hit one, suddenly your pace is all messed up and you don't know where they're going to be on laps 2 and 3. You kind of have to get there and read where they are. And oh, Bisso also hitting a spiny, avoids falling off the track though. Hattok catching up quite a bit of time there. Ooh, and Bisso just making that hairpin jump. That hairpin cut is allowed in non-shortcut, obviously. Some people are a little surprised by that, but it is perfectly legal. And Bisso will take track number 2. Alright, Bisso going for Mario Raceway for the next track. An interesting pick considering Hattok actually does have the better PR on that track. Yeah, a bit of a false start there from Bisso, but good here now. So the key part of this track for these guys is going to be this mushroom cut coming up. The slightly lower ranked players can struggle with this a little bit, as you see Hattok there getting a little caught up on the wall. It is a oddly difficult thing to be consistent at, getting through there cleanly, and even more difficult to get through there cleanly and quickly. Hattok catching up though. Finishes lap 1 with a bit of a lead. Oh, but he misses an MT on the straight there. Suddenly we're neck and neck. Oh, and he misses the mushroom cut. That is the risk of this track for these guys. If you type exclamation point MK64, there should be some links with information for you. Bisso choosing not to do the mushroom cup lap 3. Hattok going for it to try to catch up the time, but I think it is going to be a little too late. Bisso with quite a lead coming at the end, and he will take track number 3. Yeah, Toad is clearly the only choice. I mean, why would you use anybody else, really? And Hattok picking another interesting track, DK Jungle Parkway. This could be a bit of a crazy race because that jump off the bridge is quite a challenge. Also, Bisso with a much better PR on this track. But this is a track where your PR in a one-try scenario might not mean a whole lot if you just miss one jump. Hattok looking like he has a decent jump there, both making it fine. Bisso going in between the trees a little faster if you can get that MT, but got hit by the second coconut. Next key area will be the cave. Very easy to lose a lot of time if you're slow getting up the hill. Ooh, Bisso catching up quite a bit of time there. Did he bonk the 180? I keep looking at the wrong screen for the mistakes. I just noticed that somebody falls behind. Oh, he bonks the 180 again. Both players went very safe with the jump lap too. Hattok having a little trouble getting into that bridge, and then missing the MT on the entry to the cave as well. Quite a close race so far. Both playing it pretty safe. Oh, but Bisso missing the jump anyways. Must have been too far to the right coming off the ramp. Oh, and I think he's going to miss it again. Yet he does. Too far to the left on the bank there. Spinning out when he gets put down, and Hattok will be taking track number 4. So, like we said there, DK is a very high variance track. Hattok able to play it a little safer. DK shortcut would be an excellent use of the Joker in my opinion. But that is pretty much just throwing the dice and seeing what happens. And for the next track, we will be going to Royal Raceway. These two, their PRs are separated by 0.01. Bisso just barely having the edge on this. This is a very important race, yeah. All tied up heading into the 5th track here. Hattok into the grass early. The Peach Ghost actually beating him into turn 1. Yes, it's me, Smurfy. Pretty close heading into the first shroom here. Looking like Hattok had the better one. Oh, but missing the second MT on the ramp. Worth noting that the boost pads on the ramp there actually work just like shrooms, so it is better to drift while you're on them, even if you can't quite get the MT charged. Both players getting caught up on the hill a little bit there. That is one of the areas where you do notice the skill difference between a higher level player and lower level tend to be a bit cleaner around that corner. Yeah, Bisso with the much nicer entry to these shrooms. Hattok starting them a bit early, but still holding a pretty decent lead here. Both getting caught up on that hill again. Ooh, Hattok might tumble off that wall, and he does! Bisso with a huge opportunity now. And Hattok misses the MT around the turn. This is going to be very close. Oh, who started the track first? Oh, Hattok did by 0.07. extremely close race there. Hattok letting Bisso back in, but was able to hold on just enough. Okay, and Hattok for the potentially set winning track is choosing to go to Toad's Turnpike. Another interesting choice from these guys. I don't know if they've done a lot of research into each other's PRs here because Bisso does have the better PR by 0.5. We'll see how risky they decide to play it with the cars and the shrooms. Hattok starting quite early, so I'm going to resync them here. Both deciding to shroom around that corner on lap 1. Not surprising, the bus shroom is, I'd say, quite risky for these players. Relatively clean from both players on lap 1. Oh, and commentator's curse there. Bisso grinding up against the fence, but only 0.01 in it after lap 1. Oh, and Bisso into the bus. That is the ever-present danger of Toad's Turnpike. Those cars are very easy to run into. Hattok missing some MTs here, but does have quite a good cushion. Should pretty much be okay as long as he doesn't run into a car himself, and apologies in advance for jinxing you. Oh, Hattok hitting the fence on the drift there. If you cut your drift short by hitting something, the game does like to send you off in the... Got very close to a truck there, but he will take the track and the set. And for the first track of this set, we will be going to Calamari Desert. This is a track that does have quite a bit of variance for players of this level, especially with the train and their shroom strats. We'll see what these guys choose to do. Hattok going for the... Oh, both players going for the shroom around the first corner there. Hattok missing that MT just seems to be, and another one seems to just be a little bit off with his MTs today. Both players doing the 3-0-0 shroom strat that will hopefully eliminate the risk of the train. Hattok not able to string MTs together right now, but surprisingly it's not causing him to fall too far back. Both players able to beat the train. Hattok definitely with the lead here, as Bisso did start the track earlier. Into the sand a bit though, Bisso with a little bit of a lead on stream. Oh, but he hits the train. Oh, that is the risk of the one-try scenario. You have just a little too many mistakes, and suddenly those trains come back into play. And Hattok will take the first track of set number 2. If you type !MK64, there will be a link to the One Try site where there is a full explanation of the rules. And everybody get your Martys out. We are going to Bowser's Castle. This is another track that is going to have some huge variance, as the players are going to have to dodge thwomps, stay out of the lava. And yeah, as Kyle's saying, this is a very chaotic track. I would be pretty hyped to see a PR from either of these guys. I know Hattok, during his warm-up for this this match, actually did PR on 2 tracks. He PR'd on Moo Moo Farm and Sherbertland. Oh, and Bisso immediately going into Thwomp. It is certain, and hits another one. That is the problem with Bowser's Castle. You hit one Thwomp, the cycles are all off, and suddenly you're hitting way more. But this race is certainly not over yet. The Thwomps are the great equalizer on this track. Hattok could very easily hit more. But of course, Bisso could also hit more. Ooh, just squeezes by. Bisso hitting more thwomps. So Hattok here with a monstrous lead would need a pretty disastrous lap 3. and getting squished by the thwomp, losing maximum time. Bisso not having a good time on this track at all. And Hattok easily taking track number 2. And I'm going to hazard a guess that that is not a real PR. In fact, I know it isn't. And we will be heading to Frap Snowland. This is another track where for these guys there could be quite a hectic race with shrooming into snowmen and such. Bisso starting very early there, I'll sync them back up. Both going for the AB spin start, getting it decently clean. See what they can do on the first shroom. Oh, Hattok getting caught up on the snow. Very easy to do. Frap is like a milkshake. At least in the Northeast, a frap is a milkshake. Oh, and Hattok getting stuck on the snow again. Bisso getting a bounce off the snow, which is slightly less slow. Bisso with a decent-sized lead here, but would be wiped out instantly with a snowman hit. Bisso clears the snowman. Hattok getting stuck on that snow all 3 laps. Very unusual. And Bisso with a cleaner frap snowland will take track number 3. And Hattok going for the absolute troll pick. We're going to Moo Moo Farm. Both players making it through lap 1 clean. Bisso with just a slight lead. Ooh, Hattok just missing a mole that was up there. Gained some time on lap 2. Ooh, Hattok very lucky there wasn't a mole up there. The moles on this track are completely RNG. Oh, and Hattok getting into the moles. Bisso very lucky not to hit a mole, by the way. Went over a few holes. And we are all tied up in the set. Yeah, Bisso very lucky to get through that 3-lap clean. Went over a lot of molehills. I think Hattok was a bit unlucky there to get the mole hit. And now we are headed to Koopa Troopa Beach. The tunnel being the great equalizer on this track, as we saw in the match between Dan and Abney. Even the top guys struggle to get in that tunnel sometimes. False start there from Bisso. Yeah, Brian, I think from now on we are going to limit the restream matches to being just between players of who are playing on the same console. Hattok struggling to get the lap transition there. The ground is cambered off to the right, meaning that the right-facing MT is a little difficult. But this is still a very close race. Well, as I say that, Hattok running right into the wall. Both players electing to just drive straight and jump into the tunnel, I think probably a very smart play. And I think Bisso should take that one, and yes, he does. And now we are going to be heading off to Sherbetland, a track that, as I said earlier, Hattok did PR in his warm-up. Here it is, it's very easy to just run straight into a penguin. Also, if you take these crack jumps a little too risky, you're going to go right into the drink. And when you fall into the water on this track, it's not the normal Lakitu animation. You get frozen into an ice cube and it takes forever for you to get going again, so extremely painful to fall into the water here. Both electing to go to the outside of the first penguin there. He is very annoying on lap 1. But if you do get there fast enough, you can go to the inside. Ooh, Hattok coming very close to the penguin at the end of the race, at the end of the lap there. Oh, and Bisso taking the crack jump too tight and falls into the water. Now, of course, he will be a little out of sync with what the penguin cycles are, so could be at quite a big risk in the tunnel. Oh, just avoids the penguin. Bisso needing Hattok to have quite a bad lap 3 to make up the time. Hattok taking the crack jump a little tight there, but manages to get across. Hattok having a little trouble in the cave, but he should be comfortably in for a win here. And he does take track number 6, and we will go to the final 7th track of this set. And for the deciding track, we will be going to Luigi Raceway. Very interesting pick. This is a track that's very easy to lose a lot of time on. These players' PR is also very close to each other. We'll see what shroom strat the players decide to do. There are, I think, probably 2 options for these guys. There is the 1-2-0 or the 0-3-0. Hattok having a little trouble in the tunnel. See Bisso will be going, both players going for the 1-2-0. Yes, okay, technically there is a 1-1-1 strat, but nobody does that. Except Climate. Hattok in the sand. Very easy thing to do around that corner is to just take it a little too tight, and once you're in that sand, you're just losing absolute buckets of time. Both players getting caught up in the sand at the end of those shrooms. Bisso in the sand even more across the line. Hattok catching up quite a lot of time there. But he is also in the sand. I think these guys both preferring to drive on Koopa Troopa Beach, but weren't allowed to pick it again. Oh, and Hattok getting eaten by the wall. Something that is really easy to do, but it's just the physics on the walls in this game are not fantastic. And Bisso will take that track. Oh, no, he won't. My mistake. They were out of sync there, and Hattok will take it. So that is 2-0 for Hattok. A great start from him. And we will be going back to Mario Raceway. And just bear with us here. One of our players just stepping away for a quick moment. So while we're waiting for him to return, let me just ask, how are you, chat? How is everyone tonight? I'm alright. Hoping my voice holds up until the end of this. It has been a very close match so far. The 2-0 does not quite reflect the closeness of these races. Looks like we're just about ready to get going again. Bisso taking the safe strat this time around, not doing the mushroom cut. We'll see if that pays off for him. If Hattok can get 3 clean mushroom cuts, yeah, he will have a really good chance at this. That is a big if. You can see there just how much time the mushroom cut does save. Hattok having a pretty clean run so far. There is no difference between the Japanese version and US version for time trials. For 150cc, there are some skips that JP is better for, but for time trials, there's no difference. Hattok having a great race there, a 1:15.19. At 1:15.19, not that bad. Pretty close to his PR, actually. And here we go. Hattok picking the dreaded retina-destroying Rainbow Road. Pretty smart pick from him. He does have a decent advantage over Bisso with their PRs. I think for me personally, the only good thing about this track is the music. Both players with a very clean Tran there. Tran being, instead of jumping off or falling off that hill, they actually slow down, letting off the gas, some players even braking, and then triple tapping the A button to accelerate and stick to the hill. It is much faster. If you see on Bisso's screen, he does have the speedometer up, so on lap 2, look out for them going down the hill. You'll see that speedometer just crank all the way to 100. Chain chomps obviously being something to watch out for on this track. They are on set cycles though, so as long as you know what your pace is, you should be able to avoid them. But that is assuming you remember what the cycles are. I can never remember them. Every time I come back to this track, I have to relearn where the chomps are going to be. Both players not with the cleanest shrooms. It is a little difficult to get that drift up that hill sometimes. Pretty close after lap 1, only 0.15, which is absolutely nothing on this track. Both avoiding the awfully placed chomp on lap 2. Yeah, Bisso's struggling here, but still plenty of time to make up the distance. This track, at least they are on NTSC, so it's 5 minutes instead of 6 minutes. But still just way too long. Both players struggling with their MTs a bit, hitting the fences, which is honestly to be expected. This track is very hard to put together a full 3 laps of clean driving. Both going to the outside of that chomp, even though there was plenty of room to the inside. Trying to play it safe and actually made themselves play more risky by mistake. Hattok struggling to put a drift together there and just barely misses the chomp. Hattok gaining 0.01 on that lap, so if my math is correct, he's ahead by 0.16 heading into lap 3, which again, on this track is absolutely nothing. We'll see if they both know where the chomps are going to be on lap 3 on this particular pace. Both of them quite a bit far off of their PRs. Both avoiding that chomp. This is a very close race. Bisso has caught up. But missing a drift around that corner, gonna cost him quite a bit of time. Yes, PR equals PB. The nomenclature within. Oh, Hattok into the chomp. Oh, tried to go to the inside, but there was no room. Yep, probably safe to go to the inside of that chomp when he's on PR pace, but didn't know that he was too slow to get through there. And Bisso should be evening up this set at 1-1. Yeah, Bisso is playing on, I think, a mostly clean cart. So you will be getting lots of flashing numbers on his side. And for the next track, we will be going back to Frapp Snowland. Trap is fun. Bisso having the advantage last time. Mostly the advantage he got was on the shrooms. Pretty even otherwise, I'd say. Hattok deciding not to go for the AB spin, or at the very least not doing it very well. I think I might have heard a little bit of tire screeching. That would be the AB spin. But if you don't do the AB spin and get around that corner, oh, he gets stuck out of bounds, but Bisso hits a snowman. Oh, wow. Getting stuck out of bounds still much slower, but yeah, very easy to do. There's the out of bounds on that shroom is very close to the optimal line, and very easy to get stuck out of bounds. So, getting caught up in the snow, but he does have quite a large lead. Oh, Hattok getting caught up in the snow on that shroom again seems to be a consistent problem for him. If we do make it to the 5th set, so we'll want to keep that in mind. So in the snow again around that corner, but unlikely to matter. Oh, and into another snowman. And another one. Hattok actually able to make up, but he's in the snow. Oh, it's a disaster. Both players really making some huge mistakes, but Bisso able to hold on. Look at the difference in that lap 2 and 3 time there for Bisso. 6 seconds off. Ooh, and now we go to a very dangerous track, but one of my favorites, Banshee Boardwalk. These players separated by just 0.01 on both the 3-lap and the flap on this track, so should be a very close race. But there is a lot of danger of falling off the track. Hattok starting a bit earlier than Bisso here, so a little bit of out of sync. Both players opting not to do the drop shroom. It is harder than the... wow, very odd drift there from Hattok drifting over that gap, but I guess if it works, it works. Bisso shrooming into the fence, I'm assuming. Didn't quite see. Neither player doing the MT on the straightaways there. This track does have quite a lot of variance in strats. As you start to improve, you start to add in much more risky strats. Not surprising, neither of these players going for them. Oh, and Bisso into the water. That gap slide terrifies me. I would be constantly worried of falling in. Interestingly, Bisso falling off on the start-finish straight, which is a risky place, but both players able to stay on the track at the zigzag, which is the more common place to fall off. And Hattok will be taking track number 4, tying up the set at 2 apiece. Yeah, it might be a good place to call the Joker, but he hasn't. We're going to Choco Mountain instead. Again, these players' PRs are tied on this track. But very easy track to lose a lot of time and not really know why. Just super important to have really tight lines, really efficient MTs, and not get stuck on the walls like Hattok did a little bit there. Oh, Bisso getting good hills there, catching up some time. Still just slightly behind. But, oh, now he's in the walls. Very easy thing to do on this track is to just drift right into a wall and then you're stuck. Bisso catching up quite a lot of time around those last few corners and getting good hills, making up all the time he lost, but then a wide shroom causes Hattok to pass to catch up again. This is going to be a very close race to the line. Bisso with a much tighter line around that corner. It is neck and neck. Oh, but Bisso missing his drift. Oh, and Bisso takes it by 0.07. I think that's the second track they've been separated by that margin. Yeah, very important win for Bisso there. Brings him within one track of getting his first set. We'll see where Hattok goes here. And we are going back to Yoshi Valley. A very risky pick for Hattok here. We go on lap one, see if they can avoid the spinies. Bisso into the spinies. Immediately, first patch of them, Hattok with an early lead. Oh, and Bisso falls on the hairpin. Hattok with a huge lead now. Bisso electing to go around the hairpin now instead of taking the jump. See what happens with Hattok. This race is certainly not over. But Hattok should be able to play this relatively safe and get through. I don't know if they are watching each other's streams. Bisso into the spinies again and almost off the track. Turning out to be a very smart pick from Hattok. Hattok into the spinies on lap 3 and off the track. I think it might be a little too late here for Bisso. Hattok will tie this set up, and for the second set in a row, we are going to the 7th and final track. So a potential match point here for Hattok, but it is Bisso's track to pick. And we're going back to Calamari Desert. So for our potentially last track of the match, back to Calamari Desert, a track that I believe Bisso lost the first time it was picked. Looking for some redemption here. Hattok into the wall on that first shroom. So Bisso with the early lead. Hattok might struggle to beat the train with this pace, but Bisso into the sand might also struggle. Both players really having a hard time on this first lap. Again, going for the 300 train shroom strat. Very close coming to the end of the first lap. Hattok with a bigger lead than I expected there. Bisso in the sand more. We'll see. Oh, still in the sand. Hattok pulling out an even bigger lead. Certainly not over yet. If Hattok is on pace where I'm not sure what the paces are for the train cycles on this track with this shroom strat, but Hattok could potentially be on pace to be tight at the train on the last lap, but Bisso just keeps getting in that sand, keeps getting that time loss. And Hattok beats the train safely. Bisso having to take a wider line. Hattok coming up to the line. He is going to take the final track of this set, and he is going to win his third set, winning the match. Very, very close fought match. The 3-0 does not remotely reflect how close that match really was. So congratulations to Hattok on his win there. Beating a player higher ranked than him on the leaderboards. Very, very strong performance. So with that, that is it for us tonight. We don't have any more matches scheduled currently for speed gaming, but there will absolutely be more. So keep an eye out. We've got 14 weeks of this league and plenty of incredible matches coming up. So thank you everybody for watching, and we will see you soon.